ya? Welcome to Happy Rails to ya. My name is Hobo Pap, and I've been riding the rails looking for an adventure to share with you. Boy, have I got a story for you today. Let me find a place to rest these weary bones. We'll see what treasure I've got for you in my bindle. You know, my hobo sack. Come along. Welcome back to my hobo jungle. It's so good to see you again. You know, as I was riding the rails this week, I ran across a discarded newspaper, picked it up, and noticed that the date is already mid-October. That's when it struck me that Halloween is just around the corner. So I thought I'd search for an eerie train adventure this week. And boy, did I find a doozy for you. This week's adventure is called Ghost Train, and it's a spooky hologram book. As we read through the story, be on the lookout for the three main characters, Headless Hector, the Gray Lady, and the Silver Skeleton, as the hologram pictures have them jumping off the page at you. Now, this tale is told by the Silver Skeleton himself, and as we hop aboard the Ghost Train, hang on tight, because you never know what we'll find around the next bend in the trek. Come along, let's read. Ghost Train, a spooky hologram book by Stephen Wiley and illustrated by Brian Lee. Headless Hector, the Gray Lady, and I, the Silver Skeleton, first came to Ravenswick Castle 400 years ago. Haunting the castle was a lot of fun then. Many guests came to stay overnight, and Hector delighted in appearing at the foot of the bed in full armor with his head under his arm. On moonlit nights, the Gray Lady liked to float through the garden 2 feet above the ground, and I would grin through the window at any unsuspecting soul who had the misfortune to open the curtains. I remember I once stroked the cheek of a lady sitting at dinner, and she turned and slapped the face of the man sitting beside her. We laughed so hard, we nearly lived. But looking back, I think we were too lively. Over the years, fewer and fewer people came to stay at Ravenswick Castle until finally there was no one living there at all. The poor castle died of neglect. Even we ghosts couldn't bring it back to life. When the roof fell in, we had to admit we were out of a job. For some time, we drifted around the country looking for a place to haunt. We kept ourselves amused. Hector appeared out of nowhere to frighten a weary traveler. The Gray Lady played an invisible instrument at a costume ball. I haunted empty courtyards. But after a few years, the novelty of new places wore off. A free spirit is a restless one, and we needed a home of our own. One evening, as we drifted aimlessly about, the Gray Lady suddenly raised a ghostly hand. "Look," she said, "an amusement park." We glided unseen between the sideshows. Hector and the Gray Lady whooshed and whirled in the bumper cars, while I did a disappearing act on the Ferris wheel. But best of all, I saw a huge, brightly lit sign, Ghost Train. "I don't believe it," said the Gray Lady. "A train especially for ghosts," said Hector. "Let's take a ride," I said. few children got on as well, and the train clanked into a dark tunnel. We rumbled past a luminous cardboard skeleton jiggling up and down. A piece of cloth painted to look like a ghost brushed our faces. From somewhere came the sound of scratchy music. Nobody was frightened. Hector, the gray lady, and me least of all. When the train came out of the tunnel, some children even asked for the money back. "This is terrible," said the man at the ticket booth. "We'll have to close down." Hector, the gray lady, and I spirited ourselves into the tunnel and waited for the next train. As I turned the first corner, there I was, a rattling, groaning skeleton. "Help!" squealed the children. Hector was waiting at the next turn, dressed in full clanging armor, tap dancing and juggling his head. "Ah!" the children shrieked. Before they could recover, the gray lady materialized suddenly, waving her claw-like talons. When the train came out of the tunnel, the children were as white as chalk, and they were still screaming. Then they lined up for another ride. Very soon a crowd gathered, and a long line formed for a ride on the ghost train. Headless Hector, the gray lady, and I had found a home at last. The end. That's Ghost Train. Well, what did you think of that story? I hope it didn't scare you too bad. Fortunately, it's just make-believe, and Headless Hector, the gray lady, and the silver skeleton, they're not real. As I tell you each week, continue riding the rails of your imagination, as it will take you on an endless number of adventures around the world. Now, with your imagination and the scary hologram pictures in this book, it felt like these characters were real and they could reach out and touch you, didn't it? Well, I hope this story has helped you start getting in the mood for Halloween. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to keep searching for spooky train stories, so get ready for some more tricks and some more treats on the rails. Well, that's it for this week. Until next time, so long. Thank you for joining me for today's adventure. I hope you enjoyed. Always remember, continue riding the rails of your imagination, as it will take you on an endless number of adventures around the world. Until next time, this is Hobo Pap saying so long, as I go hop on a rattler in search of our next adventure. Happy rails to you.